All right. Well, I just want to say huge thank you for everybody that came out today. My name's Alfred Ayoub. I'm with Columbia Climate School, and you're joining us today at the Climate and Society, or forgive me, the Climate and Sustainability Open House. I think you're going to get a lot out of today's session. And so I just want to briefly go over the agenda. But actually, before I do, I always like to take a little bit of a pulse of the room. I know some of you we met in Virginia and Washington, D.C. on recent travels, which is phenomenal. I know somebody flew all the way out from two people from San Francisco, the Bay Area. Does anybody want to raise their hand if they feel they traveled the furthest? Where? Paris, France. Oh my gosh, bienvenue. Welcome. Anybody else? Where? Barcelona, welcome, welcome. Anybody from South America, perhaps? Where? Excellent, Chile, welcome. You know, last year we had somebody from Chile as well, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. So let's just briefly go over the agenda. It's action-packed today. We're going to go ahead and perform a broad introduction on the portfolio of professional graduate programs. We're also going to then move into our faculty panel that's going to begin at 9:30 a.m., then a current student panel at 10:30 a.m., and then we're going to have our ever so dynamic degree breakout sessions, because I know for a fact quite a few of you are thinking about multiple programs. So the degree breakout sections are going to occur from 11:20 to 12:45. And then followed by that is going to be an optional campus tour that's going to depart from Faculty House on the first floor. That starts at 12:45. And then raise your hand if you have an orange sticker on your name tag. Excellent. So you guys are all coming with me on a shuttle to Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory. The weather today is exceptional. I'm like beyond thrilled about it. There might be other implications though, given that it's late October and the weather's like this. But again, I think you're going to have a really good time at Lamont. So what I'd like to now do is go ahead and welcome our fearless leader, our interim dean, Dr. Jeffrey Shaman, who is going to give you a little bit of background on Dr. Shaman. He is a professor of climate in the Climate School, as well as a professor in the Department of Environmental Health Sciences at Columbia University's Mailman School of Public Health. Dr. Shaman works in the fields of climate and environmental health, climate dynamics, and infectious disease modeling and forecasting. He uses mathematical and statistical models to describe, understand, and forecast the transmission of dynamics of disease systems and to investigate the broader effects of climate and weather on human health. So if we could just give a warm welcome to Dr. Shaman.
Thank you, Alfred. Welcome, everybody. Welcome here. My name is Jeff Shaman. It's a pleasure to meet you. I hope you guys all are rested. I know, particularly given what Alfred just told you about, that some of you have traveled quite a distance to come here, others closer, but regardless, there's travel involved, and I thank you for taking time out of your schedules to find out about what we're doing here in the space of climate and sustainability and the educational programs that we offer here. I think you're all here because you understand there's an important challenge in front of us, which is how do we steward our planet better? How are we going to do this for future generations? How do we develop the transitions that are going to put us in a place where we're using the resources of our planet in a sustainable fashion, where the climate system isn't disrupted, and where the health and outcome implications across so many sectors are not moved, changed, and again, disrupted in ways that are difficult for society to grapple with. I want you and I encourage you as you're going around to learn about our interdisciplinary programs across Columbia University, all the course offerings, the research centers we have that are engaged in policy and scholarship and science. These are things that you're going to want to engage in, learn about beforehand so that you know how they place and how they work with the perspective that you want to bring and the items that you want to learn about. Obviously, you guys are coming here because you're interested in being agents of change. You're interested in doing something about this problem that we are confronted with that is very large. And that may be in a whole diversity of fields. It may be going into policy. It may be going into entrepreneurship, innovation, research, communication, justice. There's a whole range across the group of you. And we welcome you here because we have the opportunity to advance that. So as you're going around, look at the programs that are there that are going to suit you. See how you might want to come in and work on issues. May they be food security, water security, waste management in the circular economy, environmental policy, climate finance, climate justice, communication issues, urban planning, the built environment, technology transfer. All these are on the plate, and they're things that I really would encourage you to explore in the time that you're here. I think the most important thing is don't sit back. Ask questions. Ask the people who are here. We've got a great academic team. We have faculty panels coming in front of you later today. Ask them questions. Find out what's going on. For those of you going out to Lamont, it is supposed to be beautiful later today. It's supposed to rain right now, even though it doesn't look like it's supposed to be. My phone tells me it's raining. But it should be a wonderful day in the afternoon there. The sun's supposed to come out. It's going to be a little hot, as Alfred alluded to, and that should be a cautionary point given that it is October 27th. So keep that in mind. So again, welcome. Enjoy yourselves. Have a really good time. Ask lots of questions. Find out what program is right for you and how you might fit in. All right, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Alfred.
All right, thank you, Dean Shaman. So what I'm going to go ahead and do today is just a really, think of it as a preview to the different programs that we're going to be deep diving into for the breakout sessions and represented on our panel. First and foremost, I like to just give an introduction on Columbia University itself. So Columbia University is the oldest institution in the state of New York, the fifth oldest here in the United States. And when you say Columbia University, you're referring to a major research institution. Many consider it the blueprint of research institutions, where there are 21 distinct graduate professional and undergraduate schools. And many of these schools we all know very well. For example, Columbia Business School, the School of International and Public Affairs representing one of the programs today, the School of Professional Studies representing two of the programs today. And the newest school within the Columbia University framework is Columbia Climate School. It was announced in 2020 and launched in 2021, but what I always like to emphasize is Columbia Climate School did not develop out of thin air. We have a very long-standing history, decades in fact, of really important research in the earth and environmental sciences, and especially sustainability. So our history begins with Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, which many of you guys are going to be visiting today, later this afternoon. It's a 189-acre campus located just over the border into Rockland County. It's absolutely beautiful on the Hudson River. And Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory is ranked the #1 research institute for earth and environmental sciences. Many of our research centers are based there. Many of our students in these graduate programs perform really valuable research up at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory. And I always like to say Lamont is the through line for all of our programs. All of our programs have Lamont research faculty teaching within them. So Lamont's a critical element. And the second critical element, and really the architect behind all these programs, because they were all designed within Columbia's Earth Institute, which is the largest research center here at Columbia University. We have actually over 750 environmental scientists, policy managers, lawmakers. Sustainable development and environmental management is of the utmost importance, and it's extremely interdisciplinary in our approach. So I always like to just emphasize that the climate school was developed first out of Lamont, then the Earth Institute, and now we're here, and we're so glad that all of you are here today to learn more about our programs. In terms of a rundown of the 4 distinct programs that we're going to be discussing, the first program that we're going to be detailing is the MA Climate and Society program that's embedded within Columbia Climate School. Next, we are going to touch on the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program, and that's specifically within the School of International and Public Affairs, which is SIPA. And then followed by that, we will touch on the MS in Sustainability Management program and the MS in Sustainability Science program, both within the School of Professional Studies. And I just love a show of hands. Raise your hand here if you're interested in the MS in Sustainability Management program. Awesome. Dr. Stephen Cohen's going to be thrilled to see that. He'll be leading the breakout session. In terms of what that means, if you're interested in sustainability management, you're going to go ahead and stay right here in this room for the breakout session. So that should be pretty easy. Now raise your hand here if you're interested in the MPA and Environmental Science and Policy program. And they might be the same hands. You might have both. Phenomenal. So our breakout session for the MPA and Environmental Science and Policy program is occurring just behind us in the door to the left. And then who's here interested in sustainability science, the MS in sustainability science? Phenomenal. So you're definitely going to want to go ahead and downstairs for your breakout session. That's going to be on the first floor in Garden Room 1. And then finally, who's here is interested in the MA in Climate and Society program? Excellent. That will also be on the first floor in Garden Room 2. So something I just want to note is, again, there's 2 breakout sessions. And I do know for a fact some of you indicated more than 2 programs of interest. And what I like to emphasize is, let's say that you have another program that you wanted to visit. Every single one of these programs have monthly virtual information sessions. And we always like to stress that, and some of you, I know, have been looking at our programs for some time, but today you should think of as a start of a conversation. And there's always going to be a continuation through our virtual information sessions, our one-on-one appointment drop-in hours. So again, if there's a 3rd or a 4th program that you wanted to deep dive into, check out those virtual information sessions by all means. So I think what Dean Shaman was emphasizing is that you're all mission-driven, you're all change agents, you all want to leave the world in a better place and hopefully improve our circumstances for future generations. So all of these programs are going to have that mission in mind. This chart is to be able to share with you a little bit more about the structures of the programs, perhaps the distinction in the start dates, the credit hours. So we'll begin with the MA in Climate and Society. This is a 34 credit hour program. It is 3 semesters in length, and you begin this program always in the fall semester. I will say that we do have a part-time path for this program, but it's a path by which you have to apply for it, so to speak. So more information about that will be in our breakout session. The vast majority of students in this program are full-time. Next up is the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program, again with the School of International and Public Affairs. This degree program is also 1 year in length. It is 54 credit hours. And what's unique especially is this program begins in the summer, so it has a summer start. This program is also the truest cohort among the portfolio that we're discussing today. You are starting and finishing with the same group of students, and I'll get into some other unique characteristics about this degree program. And then we have the MS in Sustainability Management program. This is a 36 credit hour program. Something that distinguishes it from the previous 2 I mentioned is that they are within the School of Professional Studies, and they're designed for individuals that are working professionals who are seeking flexibility in terms of ensuring that they can take courses maybe in the late afternoons, evenings. So the MS in Sustainability Management program can be done full-time, and in fact, we have a very robust full-time learning community there, or alternatively, you can do the program part-time. They have a fall start or a spring start. And raise your hand here if you're interested in spring or a January 2020. Oh, awesome, excellent, welcome. So we have a January start option as well. And then finally, the MS in Sustainability Science, where the content is quite distinct, but the structure is very similar to sustainability management. It's also 36 credit hours. It's also designed for individuals who are working professionals, although we also have students that pursue this degree program full-time as well. So I'm going to briefly again give a preview of the different degree programs and some highlights. The MA in Climate and Society program, as I mentioned, is a 1-year interdisciplinary program. This degree program welcomed around 103 students in the fall cohort. And something that we like to note that's a distinguishing characteristic is that we offer something called the Climate Core within the MA in Climate and Society program. And that's the idea that, within our learning community, we have very, very diverse students. We have students that might be interested in climate communication, climate justice. Some students are deeply interested in research. Some students might have an entrepreneurial mindset. But the thing that glues them all together is the idea of this climate core. So they include, for example, a dynamics class going over the science behind the climate crisis. I oftentimes meet with students who have a social science background, and they say to me, Alfred, do we really have to understand the physics behind it? And my response is the only reason why we know about the climate crisis is because of science. So yes, if somebody stops you on the street and says, do you believe in climate change, you should be able to authentically answer also why. We also have a climate mitigation and adaptation course. These are pillars within addressing the crisis. And another element that our program offers, and really all the programs, this is a kind of a bedrock of your Columbia University experience, is the idea of a cross-registration journey. So our electives are very flexible. You're able to cross-register across professional schools at Columbia University. So, for example, you might be interested in climate, but with a public health lens. So you might want to cross-register in electives at the Mailman School of Public Health. Or alternatively, you might be interested in climate, but also have a deep interest in policy, and so you might want to cross-register in the School of International and Public Affairs. And again, this is something that really all of our programs offer this phenomenal opportunity. I'll just briefly mention another distinguishing characteristic of this program is that it does offer an internship opportunity in the summer semester. So the summer semester is dedicated to either performing an internship or a capstone. The internship is a unique characteristic within the portfolio. Next up is the Masters of Public Administration in Environmental Science and Policy. This program was established in 2002, and one thing I like to emphasize about this program is that it has a very, very long-standing history of producing extremely successful alumni. And I was just recently on the road with my colleague, Maya Lugo, who is going to be presenting at the breakout session. But oftentimes students will come to the table and they'll say, oh, it's a policy program. I understand that. We always like to say it's not just policy. We have students that are going into the private sector that are entrepreneurs. Who here is familiar with the Revel app? For car rideshare. Awesome. So the CEO of Revel is an alum of the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program. In terms of its characteristics, as we mentioned, it is a one-year immersive program. The first semester is going to be 19 credits, all in applied environmental science courses. Many of those faculty are going to be Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory researchers. Again, a through line of our program is the importance of Lamont. We also, another element I like to stress about this program in particular is the idea that it's a combination of both science as well as policy. Many institutions will deliver a degree program with this nature of content as a dual degree, and it could be a 2-year program. This is going to be, again, this one-year immersive program, which is a huge benefit. We've had over 20 years of success in implementing this really dynamic curriculum, and this is also, when you think about it, just 1 year out of the workforce as well. So it's action-packed, these 54 credits, but it definitely has a very strong track record. The final element I want to highlight about the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy is the workshop briefings. This is definitely a distinguishing characteristic. It's a through line within the MPA program. The idea that in your first 2 semesters, you're going to be looking at a bill that hasn't necessarily passed. You'll be analyzing it in a team from a science lens. You'll also be analyzing it from a policy implementation lens in your second semester. And the final semester, you're going to work with a live client, usually a nonprofit organization or a government agency. Again, this is a very unique characteristic among the portfolio of programs. And if anybody's interested in looking at those workshop sequences, we have the entire video catalog, I think for the last 15 years, posted on the MPA and Environmental Science website. So if you want to see who were the clients, what are the projects that they worked on, everything's on that website. Next, I'll talk about the MS in Sustainability Management, one of the first in the world to be developed. This is going to be the largest program within the portfolio, especially when you think about it from a student population standpoint. They have over 400 students enrolled. And in terms of the breakdown of students, approximately 1/3 are full-time students. They have an incredibly engaged student population. The SUMASA student organization, which is Sustainability Management Student Association, are extremely engaged on campus. And then about 2/3 of the students are part-time working professionals. I like to note that there's like an X factor to being in the sustainability management program, and that you're sitting side by side. Let's say that you are a full-time student. You're sitting side by side with working professionals that are actually in the industry. So maybe you're sitting next to somebody that's working at Con Edison or Boston Consulting Group, actually doing sustainability work in this program. So I think that's it's a huge value to the learning community from the networking standpoint. Again, you have a part-time opportunity, and this program is very flexible in nature. When you look at the 36 credit hours, you actually have just 2 required courses that every student must take while enrolled in the program. They include sustainability management, and then typically your final semester, you'll be performing a sustainability management capstone, again, working with a live organization and really transforming the concepts into practice that you're learning in the classroom. There's over 70 courses in sustainability management to choose from. They have a variety of content areas, and within each content area, there's a plethora of options for our students, and you're going to hear all about those during our breakout session as well. I'll also note that within the sustainability management program, we do have 3 certification options. The first one being the certification in sustainability analytics, the next one, the certification in water management, and then finally the certification in sustainable finance, forgive me. Many students will select this certification, and then they're enjoying their certification so much that they decide to matriculate into the degree program. And then some students pursue the certification after their degree program, but more information will be on that during the breakout session as well. The one highlight I will make is that the sustainable finance certification can be delivered fully online if you are interested in an online delivery model. Finally, and I just want to stick to time, so apologies, but we have the MS in Sustainability Science program. The MS in Sustainability Science program, also embedded within the School of Professional Studies, but completely designed by Lamont faculty researchers. It's, again, a 36 credit hour program, and it's really geared towards students that are also working professionals, although we have full-time students enrolled in the program. And within sustainability science, there's actually 3 required courses. You have a sustainability science course. We also have a statistics and programming course where they use Python. Data is critical in all of our programs, especially in sustainability science. And then finally, you have a sustainability consulting capstone in the program. Again, they are also built as a content model where you have multiple courses to choose from within each one of the programs. And I just want to highlight many of our students in sustainability science and sustainability management also cross-register across the university. There might be courses in the Graduate School of Architecture and Planning and Preservation. There might be courses in Earth and Environmental Sciences that are of great interest to you. What I want to do now is just highlight our application deadlines. The breakout sessions are going to go into great detail as it relates to the course content, the professional development opportunities, and the nuances of the application process for each one of these programs. But just to note, the application deadlines for Climate and Society is going to be priority deadline January 15th, and then final deadlines March 1st. For the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program, raise your hand again, who's interested in MPA ESP? Awesome. You see that November 1st deadline? I highly recommend it. I highly recommend November 1st. That can be a great opportunity for early decision, followed by a fellowship consideration deadline of January 15th, and then the final deadline of February 15th. We really encourage you to get that application in sooner rather than later. The MPA in Environmental Science Policy program begins in the summer. I can't emphasize that enough. So if that's the number one program for you, sooner is better when you're going through that application process. And again, Maya Lugo will discuss that in detail in the breakout session behind us here during those sessions. Finally, for the MS in Sustainability Management as well as Sustainability Science, they have the same deadlines. They have a fall priority deadline of January 15th. We really recommend that for students that might be interested in housing. We also recommend that for students who are international students. It takes a lot of time when it comes to visa processing, so the January 15th is priority. And then finally, we have a final deadline of May 1st. That's for fall. And then for spring, we have a deadline of November 1st. I saw one hand for spring for sustainability management, and then for sustainability science, also November 1st. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is perfect timing. I'd like to go ahead and welcome our faculty panel. Associate Director within the School of Columbia Climate School, Alex Schroeder, will be moderating the panel, and I will allow Alex to come up to the podium.